All right, old school NBA fans, self-researched NBA facts. I got another video for you. As always, thanks to anybody who watches my videos, subscribes to my channel. I really appreciate it. You guys are terrific. Leave some very good comments. Very knowledgeable, all you guys. I feel like I'm reaching the right people, and it makes me smile. I did video yesterday about comparing eras, and obviously you just can't do it anymore. It does not translate. The rules have changed too drastically. You just can't do it. What's happened in the last decade, more or less, is just not comparable to what has happened in other eras. Like the 90s and 2000s were a very defensive era, especially the second half of the 90s. The 80s was, kind of both, I guess you could say, because they still allowed they had no flagrant fouls in the 80s. So that's something that has to be considered right there also. But I still hear people acting like this era is better because of what? Not the teams. The best team in this decade right now, without any question, was the Celtics last year, right? 64-18, won the championship. I think they're like 16-3 in the playoffs. I don't see what other team you would pick for the 2020s. Well, you look at an era like the 80s. Take your pick. You got the 83 76ers, who were 65-17. They were 12-1 in the playoffs. They railroaded everybody, swept the Lakers, the defending champion Lakers. They swept them. You got the 85 Lakers that were awesome. The 87 Lakers won 65 games. And beat Boston, the defending champions. The 86 Celtics that were dynamite. The best home team of all time, including the playoffs, 49-1. The 89 Pistons were awesome. One of the best defensive teams of all time. They won every single game except for the two games against the Bulls, 15-2 in the playoffs. And they played good teams. The Lakers, the Bulls, I think it was Milwaukee. Anyway, and also the 90s. Obviously, the 96 and 97 Bulls were the best teams of the 90s. There's no way that the 2024 Celtics are in the class of these teams. It's just not even close. Even the 2000s. You got the 2001 Lakers. You got the '08 Celtics. I mean, there's a few other ones in there that were pretty good, but anyway, it's just not comparable. And this video here relates to the quality of the game. And I did a little research, and people love to say one guy in particular, I'm calling you out by name because you're a douche. Keith Mitchell. Guy was leaving some stupid comments, just repeating the same comment over and over. So finally I just blocked the guy. He's like, you're an idiot. Get out of here. Keeps saying, it's watered down. The 90s were watered down. Leaving no proof, no evidence, no explanation, just a statement. And these are the people I just don't want to deal with. If somebody has something concrete to offer, we can have a discussion about it. But I don't have time for fools like that. But here's one thing that's very undeniable. Talk about watered down. I looked up, and right now, around the league in the NBA, there is 15 players per team, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Right now, there are 41 players in the NBA right now in this season, 24-25, that are 20 years old or under. 16 of those players are 19 or under. One of them is actually 18 years old. 41 players. That's more than one on a roster. And you think these guys are like starting? I think it was Victor Wembanyama and maybe one other guy that was a starter. Everybody else is riding the bench. So this is the quality of players you have in the league right now. 41 players. Like I said, that's about 1.5 a team. And you want to talk about the 90s were watered down? And that's across 30 teams. Well, I looked at right in the dead center of the 90s, the 1994-95 season. Who were the youngest players in the league then? Because this is the real difference. In this era here, you got boys and men in the same league. Back in the 90s, it was just men. There was no boys. There was no kids. And if there was, the only ones that got drafted early was like Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant. Those are the players that got drafted young in the 90s. You know, legendary top 20, 25 type players. Those are the guys that got drafted early, young. In the time, here's the players who are the youngest in the league in the 1994-95 season. The youngest player was a guy named Dontonio Wingfield. Now, obviously, he didn't amount to anything, whatever. Lamont Murray, pretty decent player. He played with Jason Kidd at Cal in college. He had an 11-year career. Jamal Mashburn, he was 21. Lamont Murray was 21. Jason Kidd was 21. These are the youngest players in the league in 94-95. Jalen Rose, pretty good player. Howard Eisley, backup point guard for Utah, in the late 90s and whatnot. Glenn Big Dog Robinson, Jawan Howard, Chris Webber, and Grant Hill. Those are the youngest players in the league in 94-95 season. You got Hall of Famers in there. You got a top 75 player in Jason Kidd. You got plenty of good young players that went on to have very fruitful careers, because you had to be this quality of player if you were going to get any playing time in the league that was this stout with talent and competition. Now, we're going to talk about another topic on the same topic is how the international players just taken over the league, and the 90s didn't have all the international players. Let's take a look. Okay, right now, I looked it up. Of the 150 starters in the NBA, 109 are black American-born players, 28 are international players, 12 are white American players, and one Spanish-born American player, Hispanic, which is Brook Lopez. He was the one guy. Of the 12 white American players, Domantas Sabonis, far and away the best white American in the league right now. Not even close. You got Kevin Huerter. I don't even know who that is. Dante DiVincenzo. I've heard the name. Austin Reeves. Jake LaRavia. Christian Braun. Brandon Podzinski. Corey Kispert. Peyton Pritchard. Tyler Hero. And Grady Dickey. That's your best white American-born players in the NBA right now. A laughing joke, okay? Now, let's compare the 90s. I specifically did 1990, okay? That would have been right in the heart of Michael Jordan's prime. And more importantly, that would have been the second year when they did expansion. So 4 teams were expanded between the 88-89 and the 89-90 season. So it was important I did that specific year. So let's just flip it around. Of all those white American players, Domantas Sabonis is the only one with any credentials at all. The only, all-star, anything like that. Okay, yeah, he's a good player. Well, in 1990, the only international starters, no, there wasn't a lot, because there was good international players. They just weren't playing in the NBA. You had more than Tony Kukoc, like Oscar Schmidt. You had Arvydas Sabonis, all those guys. Vlade Divac. Anyway, I think Divac might have actually been a rookie for the Lakers. The 3 international starters were Rick Smits. He was an all-star. Detlef Schrempf, multiple-time all-star, multiple-time all-NBA. And Akeem Olajuwon, a top 10 all-time player. So compare those to the white American players playing today, okay? So now we're going to compare the international players. I know, all the best players. against the white American players that were playing in 1990. Let's take a look. You got Jack Sikma, Hall of Fame center for the Bucks. Mike Gminski, he was a solid player. Now, these are all starters. I'm not just naming white guys. They were starters in the NBA in 1990. Mike Gminski, like I said, he was a solid center for the 76ers in 1990. Larry Bird, a top 10 all-time player. Kevin McHale, a top 75 player. Fred Roberts, he was okay, played for Milwaukee. John Paxson, role player for the Bulls. Mark Price, this is a guy who was, four-time All-NBA, four-time All-Star. Craig Elo, Ronnie Cycli, Bill Laimbeer, a four-time All-Star. John Stockton, a top 75, top 5 all-time point guard. Mark Eaton, multiple Defensive Player of the Year, All-Star. Bobby Hansen, Blair Rasmussen, a guy named Todd Murphy. Rex Chapman, solid player. Kelly Tripucka, multiple All-Stars. Tom Chambers, multiple All-Stars, All-Star MVP, All-NBA. Dan Marley, multiple All-Stars, multiple All-Defenses. Jeff Hornacek made an All-Star team. A little known fact about Jeff Hornacek. Do you know he's the only player that I know of who was on the team that beat Magic, Shaq, Tim Duncan? He was on a team to beat all three. Also, Danny Ainge. He made an All-Star, multiple championships. I think he went to the finals 5-6 times. And Chris Mullin, Hall of Famer. There's some pretty damn good names in there. So all you've really done is you swapped out international players for the white American players. Because the white American players now are junk, except for Sabonis. He's about the only one. Austin Reeves, okay. All right. But I'm saying that Rick Smits, Detlef Schrempf, and Akeem Olajuwon are better than all the white American players now, easily, by a big margin. And the white American players in 1990 are just as good as the international players today. I don't see why. You got Larry Bird, you got John Stockton, you got some great players in here. And the number of black American, now there would have been 135, because there was 27 teams, there would have been 135 starters, 110 black American born, and it was 109 today. So about the same, actually maybe a hair more back then. The white American was 22, where the international player is 28, but remember there's 3 more teams. And then the white American now, there's 12, and the international player in 1990 was 3. So it's basically the same. You add up the white American and the international in 1990, it's 25. You add up the international and the white American today, and that comes to 40. So that makes up, the difference of 15 makes up for the 3 extra teams there are. So it's more or less the exact same. There is no watered down. Because there's international players means the NBA is better. Bullcrap. There was way better white American players back then than there is now, by a big margin. There might be overall better international players now than the international players in the 1990s that were in the NBA. Yes, I would agree with that. But when you combine them, it's basically the same thing. But the difference, like when I go back to what the ages of the players are, that's where the real difference lies. It was men playing men in the 90s, where now it's men playing boys, playing men, playing boys. These guys are young. The league has just gotten so young. These guys have no fundamentals. They got no strength. They got none of that. It's apples and oranges. It's a completely different league. And to say that it's watered down, yeah, this year is watered down. Back then, it was anything but. It was men, and it wasn't young boys. And there was a lot of good white American players that were damn good in 1990. So, anyway, that's all I got for this video. It's something I wanted to just put out there. I'm sick of the watered down junk with no explanation, really. Bring me some evidence. Bring me something I can use. Please. Bring it. Whatever you got. Let's hear it. Let's hear something with some substance, not just your stupid little statements. Come on. Bring it. So anyway, that's all I got for this video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time.